Hello everybody, it's Adelaja here from Kiev, Ukraine. Welcome back to the topic we've been treating in this series, which is understanding suicide, mass shooting, and depression. Understanding suicide, mass shooting, and depression. This is important to know because we have a lot of depression going on all over the world right now, and a lot of death. Some of them are homicide, like mass shooting. Some of them just suicides, but the root of all these problems, and as I have discovered, is depression. Depression is at the root of all this. But I've already spoken four messages before this, so this is the fifth one, and today I would like to talk about a different topic that will help. I've already spoken about the symptoms, I've already spoken about who is at risk of depression, but right now I want to go more practical. I want to be more practical. I'll let you take a test. I want every one of you that are interested in this topic to take a test, not just for yourself, but you could take a test for your children and for people that are at a risk of depression. Let them take this test, and this test will be able to help you to discover if you have depression, and maybe not, and if you have, then what level of depression do you have? How severe is that depression? And because if you have something happening to you and you don't really understand what's happening, you used to be an okay guy, but then you discover that you don't just know what's going on with you. It could be depression, because a lot of people don't even want to admit that it could be that they might be suffering from depression, mainly because of the stigma that people have placed on this sickness in the society. But you need to help yourself. Nobody has to be there. Take the test for yourself, and then you'll be able to know the way out. So the topic that we are treating today is depression test. Depression test, find out your score. Depression test, find out your score. Depression test, find out your score. So what we're going to do is this test I'm going to be giving to you is self-scored. So you have to score the marks by yourself and for yourself. And the scoring scale, I will show you the scoring scale at the end. So the first question is, over the past 2 weeks, how often have you been bothered by any of the following problems? So the whole idea is the past 2 weeks, right? So I'm going to give you a whole list of symptoms and problems, and you are going to answer, and I'm going to show you also how to answer the formula. I have a table here, yes. So the first thing is, so look in the first 2 weeks, in the last 2 weeks or the last 1 month of your life. How often have you suffered from this thing? So there are only going to be 4 options that you have, as you see on the table. So the first option is you didn't suffer from that symptom at all. Second is you have suffered in the last 2 weeks for several days. Third option is that you have suffered more than half of the. So if we are talking about 2 weeks, you have suffered from this for like 7 of those 2 weeks, half of those days. Number 4 option that you have is that nearly every day or on everyday basis, you experience these kind of symptoms that we are talking about. So the first thing, please, and the marks are important. You need to put the marks. So if you have not suffered from this thing at all, just write 0. If you have suffered once, it's a few days in a week or in 2 weeks, write 1. So the more severe it is, the higher the mark you get, and the highest mark is 3. The lowest mark is 0. So you, if you have not have an experience with this thing we're talking about in the last 2 weeks, we are not talking about for in general in your life, but just taking the last 2 weeks or the last 1 month. So either you didn't suffer this thing in the last 1 month, in the last 2 weeks, or you suffer for several. That is 0 if you didn't suffer it at all, or if you didn't experience it at all. If you experience it for only a few days, that is 1. If you experience for half of the period that you are taking, that is 2. If you are experiencing that kind of things almost every day, then that is 3. So here we go. The first symptom that we are talking about is, or the first thing that we want you to answer, the first question we want you to answer is, have you been having little interest or no pleasure, lack of pleasure in whatever you do? You just do them automatically. You just do them automatedly. You just do them without any emotions, without any pleasure, without even any interest, just because it's a duty or because it's your responsibility. Whereas before, you used to be excited about what you do. Now, I'm not talking here about the fact that, okay, you are asked to do something you don't like and you didn't have any pleasure in that. No, I'm not talking about just one thing or 2 things. I'm talking about everything. So everything you do, you are not even experiencing any emotion or any pleasure towards them. That is, you are not experiencing any interest. So have you experienced that in the last 2 weeks, you do things and you don't even feel attached to them, you don't feel connected to them, you don't feel any pleasure from doing them? Not just one thing, but almost everything. So if you never experience that, then that is 0. If you experience it for a few days, that is 1. If you experience it for half of the period of 2 weeks, that is 2. If you experience almost every day like that, that is 3. So the next question for you: do you often feel down, depressed, and hopeless? And then you've got to tell us how often, right? That is how you get your mark. So you put the mark, either you get 1, either you get 0, 1, 2, or 3. So if you feel depressed, down, hopeless, those 3 things are important. If you don't feel that at all, then it's 0. If you feel that a few days in a week, then that's 1. If you feel that like half of the week or half of 2 weeks, you feel like that, that is 2. If you feel that almost every day, that is 3. So put your own mark down, because we are going to add up the marks later on, okay? Number 3, do you often have problem falling asleep? Or maybe you could fall asleep, but you wake up, you don't keep asleep, you don't stay asleep. Do you struggle with sleeping? Or maybe you sleep, but you sleep too much. Maybe you sleep, but you sleep too much. So what we want to measure right there is the intensity of these things. How intense it is. If you don't experience that at all, good for you. That's 0. If you experience that just a few days in a week, that's just 1. If half of the period you experience that, that is 2. If you experience that almost every day or on daily basis, that is 3. So we're going to add up your mark, you remember. Next point. Do you often feel tired and lack of energy? Do you often feel tired, lacking energy in whatever you do? You lack interest? That was one thing. We already spoke about that. But this time you're also lacking energy. You don't have, maybe you feel you still have the power, but you lack the energy to do what you want to do. You cannot get yourself to really do the thing you want to do. And you feel tired, that you are so tired, you cannot do this thing. Even though you know that the thing is easy, even if it's as easy as waking up in the morning. Even if it's as easy as, taking up a book to read, or getting some food for yourself, or washing a plate. So, what do you get? 0, 1, 2, or 3? Write it down because we're going to add it up. The next point, the next question: do you experience either of the two? You don't desire to eat, you don't feel like eating, that's poor appetite. Or the opposite, you just want to keep on eating and you cannot seem to be able to stop, just eating and eating and eating. So any of the two. Now you tell us the intensity, the frequency of it. Is it just, maybe you never experienced, you don't really experience that in the past 2 weeks, you didn't experience that, then it's 0. If you experience it once in maybe a few days, then that's 1. Half of the week, that's 2. Almost every day, you feel like that, then that's 3. Next point, do you sometimes feel bad about yourself? Feeling that you are not good for anything? Feeling that you are a failure? Or that you are a burden to your family, a disappointment to your family, a failure, a disgrace? Or that you are good for nothing? Do you ever feel like that? If never, especially in the past 2 weeks, that's 0. If it is a few days, sometimes 1. If it's 50-50, that's 2. If it's every day you feel like that, that's 3. The next question: do you have trouble concentrating on things, such as reading the newspaper, reading books, even watching television, or in a discussion, in a group, you sit down, you are hearing what they're saying, you are reading the book, you are looking at the book or the Bible, but your mind cannot really concentrate or grasp. You cannot really grasp what you are reading very well. Tell us the frequency of that. Maybe you never experienced that in the past 2 weeks, or a few days maybe. That's 1. If it's half of the time, that's 2. If it's all the time, then that will be 3. Okay, number 8 question. Do you experience this phenomenon of moving? People started noticing, maybe you might not even notice it, but people started noticing that you started walking a bit more slower than usual, or even speaking a bit more slower. But not just slower than yourself, but slower than normal people talk, or slower than normal people walk. And then other people are noticing it, that you are not as sharp, you are not as fast and as quick as you used to be now. Sorry. Is there anything like that going on? Or it could be the opposite. Maybe you are being fidgety. Fidgety is when you are always restless. You are always shaking. Not shaking, but restless and moving you have to wrinkle your hands or pace the floor, or you are restless. You always have to do something. You have to shake your body, shake your hands, you are restless. That's fidgety, is the movement of the body on that is not normal. Well, that's a sign of depression, guys. So tell us the frequency. Do you have 0, 1, 2, 3? Number 9 question. Do you sometimes have suicidal thoughts? That it's better, I should just die. Or I would have just preferred to die. That I'm no good. Why should I even be alive, self? You know, or you feel like just dying off. You feel like you are no more just interested. You feel like if you die, you will be less burden to other people. So do you sometimes feel like it's better, you are better off dead? Or doing something bad to yourself? Or to others, actually? Because when you have this kind of thoughts, this is what leads people to suicide. So that's the connection between depression, suicide, and suicide. When you feel like you don't want to live anymore, there is no meaning, there is no sense in life, then people commit suicide. Also, but sometimes it's not just for you that you want to die, but you want people to notice what you are going through. You want people to, you want to do something to raise the awareness for people to see that you are suffering here. Hey, see me, see what is happening. And that is what want to push you to do something horrible. That the more horrible the thing that you do, that is what will make people to notice it the most. So that's what leads to mass shooting. That when you go and do something that would really get everybody's attention, it's not just because you want attention, but just because you want, maybe people there will rescue you, come to your aid, and see what you are going through, and see you for what you have really been suffering inside. Or that you don't want, sometimes it's because you don't want you to be the only one suffering that thing. You want other people to, because you have been alone in this your suffering and in this your pain, you just want others or people to also be in the same kind of pain, desperation, and like yourself. So it's a bad thing. So give yourself a mark: 0, 1, 2, or 3. That's number 9. Now, number 10. Okay, number 10. Yeah, I didn't write it here. Number 10 is, have you been seeing yourself as hopeless of recent? Have you been seeing yourself as hopeless? If you have been seeing that there's no hope for you, everything you are doing, you can't see the future. And that it's just like everything is dark, everything is, you hit a wall. If you feel like you've hit a wall, also tell us how often you feel that. Tell us your mark. Okay. So with all these scores, the highest and total score is supposed to be 27, and the lowest is supposed to be 27. That is, if we're just using 9, and the lowest is supposed to be 0. So write your own number down, everyone. What number did you score? 0 or 4 or 9 or 10 or 20? What is your number? 27? I'm giving you some time to add up. Please go ahead and add up your numbers, and let's see what you get. Okay. So now let's see the scores. Let's see the result. I mean, that's going by 9 points and 9 questions that I've given you. So if you scored under 5, that is between 0 and 4, that means you don't have depression. Congratulations. No depression. But if you score from 4 to 9, you have a little bit, struggle a little bit, just occasional depression or mild depression, coming and going depression. So Not bad. That is not a crisis yet. It's not a problem. But if you score from 10 upward, then we need to pay attention. So if you scored 10 to 14 points, is moderate depression. You need to begin to observe yourself and pay attention. If you scored between 15 to 19, it's more severe depression, but not totally severe. It's already time to begin to do something. If you scored between 20 to 27, that is already alarm. That is like the next stage could be suicide or mass shooting. So if you scored question 9 with anything other than 0 point, please seek immediate professional help. Now let's see question 9 again. Thoughts that you will be better off dead, or hurting yourself, or hurting somebody else. So if you have such a thought, that's number 9. Even if it is not every day you think like that, if it is not half of the week, even if it is once or twice in the last 2 weeks, you need to look for psychotherapist or a specialist in suicide consultation. But you need to seek also professional help if you score anything between 15 to 27. You will need to begin treatment with a psychotherapist, and they will need to give you some medications or a combination of the two. So you need to begin to do something about yourself. Now, other control questions. Does your score reflect your current mood? Right now, as we are talking right now, that score that you got, is that the way you are feeling right now? Does it reflect what you are feeling now? Why or why not? If it is not, why not? Next question, did any of your answers to these questions surprise you yourself? It could, because most of the people who suffer from depression, they don't really know what is happening to them, what is going on with them. So you could be surprised, but at least you have an answer. At least you know what is going on right now. So if it surprised you, why? And if it didn't surprise you, why not? Just try to study yourself. This is not for me, this is for you. So let me give you some other tasks to work on as you begin taking control of your depressive symptoms. So another question is this: which one of those symptoms do you experience most frequently? That is important so that you'll be able to know what to watch out for and what to guard against, and also to know which one to treat, because every one of those points could be treated differently. So you need to observe, go back to those 9 questions and see which one of them bothers you most. Second question you want to ask yourself is, what do you do that provides a form of relief to you? What are the things that you do? Maybe you go to socialize, and you've discovered that during that time you don't feel that thing. Or maybe you you do something that makes you feel better. Maybe when you take tablets, or maybe when you talk with people, maybe when just note them, because then they will become yours safety cycle. So because when you are able to understand the things that make you feel better, then you will be able to hide under that. You'll be able to save yourself through those things. So one of the things you will need to do to really help yourself is that you need to monitor your mood. for the next 2 weeks. Monitor your mood throughout the day. Some people feel more down in the morning, while others feel sadness at midnight, at nighttime. So when does it hit you the hardest? Monitor yourself so that you'll be able to know what to do at that particular time. When you start to feel down, call a family member, friend, or someone else you know or trust. Because it's trust, share with somebody you could trust. Share somebody that will not condemn you. Someone that will not someone that will just listen to you and be able to, maybe actually someone that will be willing to read a book or listen to the messages with you and will be able to know exactly what to do, because we are going to continue with this series, also teaching you how to deal with it, and so that those other people would have listened to the whole series together with you and they will know how to help you. But when the problem is severe, make sure that you have their telephone or their number around you so that you could get them at any time. I mean, you shouldn't be the kind of person that you will not be able to get when you are really feeling down. It should be somebody that really cares for you and that will be there for you at any time. Well, that will be it. That will be it for today. I hope that this test and the quiz have helped you a little bit, and you'll be able to go back to this quiz and questions, anytime, not just for yourself but for other people too. So please go ahead and share the message with your friends and family members, and also look for this book. This book that is here, Visionless Life is a Meaningless Life. Vision is one thing that could help you to battle and cope with depression. So please look for that book. It's on Amazon, or on if you are in Africa, in Nigeria, you could go to, not just Nigeria, Africa, you could go to the website DSA Books Planet, DSA Books Planet, one word.com. So that will also be able to, you'll be able to get the book there. They will send it to you to your address. But if you want to get it online, you can get it on Amazon or on okadabooks.com. But if you want to get many of my books, you want to get them in bulk, just write to my office, which is dsasbooks@gmail.com. dsasbooks@gmail.com. If you have not yet joined our mentorship program, go to Score.Understanding.com/mentorship. If you also want to join our Nigerian team, go to Score.Adelaja.com/Nigeria. And well, that will be it for today. I'll be back tomorrow. Peace.